I left work early to surprise my wife. She ended up surprising me instead. I never thought I'd be sharing a story like this. It's been a few days since my entire world fell apart, and I still can't believe it happened. This is the story of how I discovered my wife's betrayal, how I confronted her, and what came after. I'm writing this in the hope that putting it into words will help me process the pain. The calm before the storm, build up. My wife and I have been together for 9 years, married for 5. Until recently, I genuinely believed we had a happy, trusting marriage. We laughed at stupid inside jokes, cooked dinner together most nights, and spent our weekends curled up on the couch binge watching our favorite shows. If you had asked me a month ago, I would have told you I married my best friend and that I was one of the lucky ones. Things started to feel off about 2 months ago, though I tried to ignore it at first. Little red flags began popping up. She became unusually protective of her phone, for one, quickly clicking off messages when I walked into the room. Our evening routines changed too. Instead of cuddling up to me on the couch, she'd say she was exhausted and head to bed early, clutching her phone under the covers. When I'd join her, she'd roll over, pretending to be asleep. At first, I brushed these signs aside. I told myself she was just stressed from work or maybe needing some personal space. I even wondered if I had done something wrong to upset her. I remember one night asking if everything was all right, and she gave me a sad little smile and said, "Yeah, just tired. Work has been crazy, you know?" I wanted to believe her, so I did. I rationalized every strange behavior, late nights at work, the 2 new dresses she bought. Just felt like treating myself, she said. The fact that she started wearing perfume to her girls' nights. In hindsight, I was willfully blind because I loved and trusted her completely. Still, a gnawing feeling in my gut told me something wasn't right. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and notice she wasn't in bed, only to find her sitting in the living room, in the dark, phone in hand. She'd jump up, startled, mumbling about getting water or not being able to sleep. There was also the morning I found she had already showered and dressed up extra nicely before I even woke up on a Saturday. She claimed she was meeting a friend for brunch. That day, I remember catching a whiff of cologne on her when she got home, which she tried to mask by saying the cafe was crowded and someone's strong perfume must have rubbed off on her. Each incident by itself seemed small, but together they painted a troubling picture. I tried so hard not to see it. The shocking discovery. The day my world imploded started out beautifully. I had gotten off work early with an unexpected free afternoon. I was excited, almost giddy, because I decided I'd use the surprise time off to do something special for my wife. It was a sunny Wednesday, and I remember stopping by a florist on the way home to pick up her favorite flowers, yellow tulips, and grabbing ingredients to cook her favorite meal. My plan was to surprise her when she got home from work and show her that whatever stress she'd been under, I was here and we were okay. In retrospect, the cruel irony is that I was the one in for a surprise. When I pulled into our driveway, I was a bit puzzled to see my wife's car already there. It was only mid-afternoon. Maybe she wasn't feeling well, I thought. Concerned, I hurried inside, juggling the bouquet and groceries. The house was unusually quiet. Our cat, Milo, rubbed against my legs in greeting, but otherwise there was silence. I remember a strange feeling of dread slithering up my spine as I noticed a pair of men's shoes by the door that definitely weren't mine. Heart pounding, I set the groceries down in the kitchen and slowly walked towards our bedroom. The door was half ajar. I heard muffled voices, a mix of hushed giggles and whispers that unmistakably belonged to my wife and a man. My heart was thundering in my chest so loudly I thought they'd hear it. Each step down the hallway felt like wading through quicksand, part of me not wanting to take the next step, not wanting to know the truth. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I gently pushed the door open. There, on our bed, was my wife wrapped in the arms of my best friend. For a split second, my brain failed to process it. I genuinely felt like I was watching someone else's life, like I had stepped into a nightmare or a movie scene. My wife was half-dressed, her hair messy, and she had a look on her face I'd never seen, a mix of shock and terror, when she realized I was standing there. My best friend, well, now ex-best friend, practically leapt out of the bed, scrambling for his shirt. The flowers slipped from my hand and scattered across the floor. My vision tunneled and I just froze. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. I could hear my own pulse echoing in my ears. I must have stood there in the doorway, jaw clenched and eyes burning, for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a couple of seconds. The smell of sweat and my wife's perfume hung heavy in the air. It felt surreal, like this couldn't actually be happening to me, to us. But it was. There was no mistaking it now. All those little red flags I'd ignored had led to this moment, this shattering revelation right in front of me. The confrontation. Suddenly, reality crashed back in, and a surge of adrenaline hit me so hard my hands started trembling. What the hell is this? I remember hearing myself shout, my voice cracking with a mix of rage and devastation. My best friend, Mark, flinched as if I had thrown a punch, his face drained of color. My wife scrambled off the bed, desperately trying to pull on her discarded t-shirt to cover herself, all the while stammering, "It's not what it looks like. Please let me explain." Her voice was high-pitched and panicked, tears already welling in her eyes. Not what it looks like? Those words ignited something in me. I could actually feel my heart break, a physical pain in my chest as anger and hurt collided inside me. Not what it looks like? I roared. It looks like I just walked in on my wife cheating on me with my best friend in our own bed. Tell me, what part of this is not what it looks like? I've never shouted like that in my life. My voice echoed off the walls. I saw my wife wince and burst into tears, repeating, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," over and over, but in that moment, it meant nothing to me. Mark started mumbling apologies too, his hands up defensively as he inched away. He looked petrified, as if I might lunge at him. To be honest, I wanted to beat the living hell out of him right then and there. This was someone I considered a brother. We grew up together, were best man at each other's weddings, had keys to each other's houses. The betrayal cut so deep I felt nauseous. I took a step toward him, fists balled at my sides without even realizing it. He backed up, stumbling over his shoes, the same ones I'd seen by the door and nearly falling. "Get out," I growled in a low voice that didn't sound like me. He didn't need telling twice. Mark grabbed his things and bolted past me without even zipping his jeans properly, disappearing out the front door in seconds. I've never seen him run so fast. And then it was just the two of us, my wife and me. She was standing by the bed, trembling, wearing an oversized t-shirt and not much else, her face streaked with tears. I realized I was crying too. Hot tears I couldn't hold back were blurring my vision. My whole body was shaking from anger, from heartbreak, from pure adrenaline. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I was just staring at her and she at me, both in shock of what was happening. It's a strange thing to suddenly see someone you love as a stranger, a liar. You feel like you don't even know them. She broke the silence, voice cracking. "Please, just let me explain. I never meant for this to happen. I love you." She took a step toward me, but I stepped back, raising a hand for her to keep her distance. I could barely form words. A part of me wanted to scream at her. Another part wanted to collapse on the floor and sob. I managed to spit out, "How long?" That was the one question burning in my mind. How long has this been going on behind my back? Her lip quivered and she hesitated before answering. "A few months," she whispered. In that instant, it felt like another knife twisted in my gut. Months. While I was cluelessly trying to cheer her up, making her dinner, and snuggling on the couch, she had been sneaking around with him for months. My voice came out strangely calm, but cold. "Why? I gave you everything. I thought we were happy. Why would you do this?" She started sobbing harder. Through choked cries, she said something about feeling lonely and unappreciated, that Mark was there for her when she felt I wasn't. She blamed me in a way, that I worked too much overtime, that I hadn't noticed she was unhappy. Hearing her try to shift even a sliver of blame onto me lit a new fire of rage. "So it's my fault?" I yelled, startling both of us. "My fault you decided to destroy our marriage, to crawl into bed with my best friend? Do you have any idea what you've done?" She kept saying sorry, kept crying, reaching for me only for me to pull away. I've never seen her like this, utterly broken, wailing, begging. She fell to her knees and hugged my legs, but I recoiled as if her touch burned. I told her I needed her to tell me everything. Through sobs, she confessed they'd grown close after running into each other at the gym. It started with innocent flirting, then lunch, then lies about work trips that were actually weekends with him. Each word felt like a blow to the chest. I was devastated and furious and sick all at once. At one point, I just screamed, "Stop! Just stop!" I couldn't take hearing any more details. It was too much. I remember suddenly feeling drained, like every ounce of energy was gone. My anger gave way to just a hollow pain. My wife was on the floor crying hysterically, saying she'd do anything to fix this, that she'd cut him off completely, go to counseling, anything. She kept repeating, "Please don't leave me. I'm so, so sorry. I love you." I was just standing there in our bedroom, the room that now felt tainted and alien, staring at the crumpled sheets where minutes before my best friend had been with my wife. I couldn't stay in that room another second. How picking up the pieces, aftermath. I walked out of the bedroom, grabbed my keys off the kitchen counter, and left the house. My wife chased after me, still in just a t-shirt, crying and pleading for me to stay. I didn't even look back at her as I got in my car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. I drove off with no destination in mind, tears blurring my vision, heart pounding like I had run a marathon. I ended up in a parking lot by a park, and that's when I completely broke down. I screamed inside the car until my throat was raw. I punched the steering wheel over and over until I cracked the plastic, and I cried. God! I cried like I never have in my life. After some time, I managed to call my brother, who is one of the few people I can always count on. I must have been incoherent, but he understood enough and told me to come over right away. I spent that night on my brother's couch, staring blankly at the ceiling, replaying the day's events in my head on a loop. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. I barely slept. The next morning, I had dozens of messages from my wife. Long texts filled with apologies, declarations of love, and pleas to talk. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. In the aftermath, the reality of what happened truly started to sink in. I confided in a few close friends and family about the situation. It was humiliating to admit, but I needed the support. Reactions ranged from shock to anger on my behalf. My mother cried with me on the phone. My dad quietly seethed and asked if I needed help finding a lawyer. Everyone asked what I planned to do, but I still felt so confused and hurt that I hadn't made any decisions yet. Meanwhile, my soon-to-be ex best friend Mark tried reaching out too. He sent a short text apologizing, but I deleted it. There's nothing he could possibly say to undo the betrayal. As for my wife, she continued trying to reach me. About 2 days after D-Day, what I've come to call the day I caught them, I finally agreed to meet her in person at a neutral place, a small park we used to picnic at. She showed up looking like she hadn't slept at all. Her eyes were puffy, and she had lost that confident glow she'd had lately. She looked broken. We talked, or rather, she talked, and I mostly listened in silence. She apologized 1,000 times, told me she ended everything with Mark immediately and that she'd do anything to earn my trust back. She claimed it was the biggest mistake of her life and kept saying that I didn't deserve it. True, I didn't. I could see genuine remorse and desperation in her. A part of me will always love her. I don't think you can shut that off overnight, even after something like this. But the damage is just too deep. I told her I just can't see a future where I ever trust her again, not after she shattered everything we had. When those words left my mouth, she broke down sobbing again right there in the park. It was gut-wrenching. This is the woman I had imagined growing old with, the woman I once happily danced with in our kitchen on Friday nights, and now she was a stranger to me, a stranger who had put a dagger in my heart. I had to fight every instinct to go comfort her, but I held firm because I knew this was the consequences of her actions. I told her I needed space and time, and that for now, she should stay with her sister. She tried to hug me as we parted, and I gently pushed her away. I drove off feeling more numb than anything else. It's been a few weeks since that day. I've contacted a divorce attorney to understand my options, though I haven't officially filed yet. I'm leaning towards divorce because I don't think I can live with this kind of betrayal. Even if I still care about her, I can't unknow what I know. Every time I think about trying to reconcile, I remember the image of her and Mark in our bed, and I feel that wave of anger and pain all over again. As for me, I'm taking it day by day. Some days I feel almost okay, like I can get through this. Other days, a memory will hit me, a happy moment from our past or a reminder of her, and I just feel the floor fall out from under me. I've started seeing a therapist to help cope with the emotional fallout. I'm also staying with my brother for the time being. Being in our house is too painful right now. We'll have to figure out what to do with the house if we divorce, but I can't even begin to deal with that yet. My wife still texts me daily, though I asked her to give me space. Most of the messages I leave unread for now. In the few I have read, she says she's hoping for a miracle, that she's waiting for me and will prove herself worthy of a second chance. I haven't replied. I just don't have it in me right now. Maybe eventually I'll send a letter or meet her once more to get closure, especially if I go through with the divorce. But honestly, I feel like something in me died that day I walked into my bedroom. I'm sharing this here because I needed to get it off my chest. If you've read this far, thank you. This has been the hardest experience of my life, and writing it out has been cathartic in a way. I'm not sure what comes next for me. I do know that I'll survive this, even if I'm changed. Trust is a fragile thing. Once it's broken, it's incredibly hard to piece back together. Right now, all I can do is try to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart and life, one day at a time.